Boy, I'm excited about this one tonight on Sportswire Radio because this one is going to really test my lungs and how much I'll have left because we have a busy night. But to kick things off is a man who not only is going to go into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame once again. He's going to definitely remind me of a bunch of things I still need to do, like get that tattoo. I'll eventually get it one day. But yes, he's going to remind me about that as he should. But we also have a lot to talk about in the world of NEW because we have yet another big show here coming up next Saturday. And is it a repeat of what happened last season? I'll tell you more about that. But I'll also tell you more about, well, I guess everybody told you so about one Joe Starr. And boy, was I certainly seeing maybe the last of Joe Starr. And I guess Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, the clock must strike midnight. We'll talk about him. We'll also talk about a winner takes all match. But this time in a death match, it almost seems like it's too good to be true. We'll get into that. We'll also get into maybe, I don't know, some outside stuff in NEW where our guest is going to be wrestling in another place in another match that he's long awaited. We'll get into that and plenty to talk about when it comes to the DHC. And I am sure we're going to get you ready for everything related, not only to this Saturday's Vortex, but most certainly another exciting show ahead here for our very, very dear friends over in NEW and Insanity Calamity. And I am sure our guest is going to provide plenty of that. He is going to certainly tell us maybe why Zero, well, he should certainly stay less than Zero, and certainly the Juggernaut Power Surge. And what about that secret meeting with the board of directors? And I'll get into all of that, even though I know he has famously said that at 2 o'clock in the morning, he has heard my introductions, and I think my guest on Monday said that his cat woke up and was screaming and wasn't happy. And yes, and on Tuesday's show, Omen Black didn't seem too happy with my introduction either. I still have to do it because this man helped build Sportswire Radio alongside NEW, and we are in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, and this might be the night my lungs finally give up. But hey, it was a great run, everybody. But before then, in the famous words of Mr. Joe Elliott, let's get rocked, baby, and start this show off in style on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station where all music and wrestling matters. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one cable sports show. A man that has won more championships than any Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. A man that has now finally won the NEW Northeast Championship from the group, the most lethal and dominant faction in the underground wrestling circuit. We can certainly see him from the group, DHC. His name is simply put, the Holy Jake champ is here. My friend, how are we doing?
Tom, I couldn't be any better. There's only one more thing that could make it better is 1 week, in less than actually 1 week. Well, a little bit over 1 week. My apologies. I'm
going to give you a pass. We're going to stay a week.
Too hard.
You're a busy man.
It's okay. Because I won this Northeast Championship against Joe Starr. He called himself the star of the show, but he's nothing more than a fallen star now. So, Tom, I've been celebrating. I've been doing a lot of partying. My apologies if my mind's not all worth it tonight.
I'm sure we're going to get into that. I definitely see some familiar faces in the chat. I have something for you. And we'll definitely talk a lot about Joe Starr because I guess what's left of Joe Starr will announce him, coming back to sports. If he lives between now and next week. I'll get to that later. But I'm going to ask you, we'll get to that. I can see you already saying, let's, exit stage left. You want to give me the hook, but maybe you'll do that later. But for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you, DHC and NEW most certainly helped build, Sportzwire Radio. Champ, how does it feel now to have finally won the NEW Northeast Championship?
As I was saying, Tom, it feels wonderful. It is a very long time coming. Finally, in my whole entire career, I can call myself an NEW Northeast champion. And dare I say, I am the best Northeast champion. Guys like Power Surge, guys like D Savage, the nobodies, they don't matter. I matter. I am going to make this the most prestigious championship of all time. So, Tom, I feel fantastic.
Well, I'm glad that you did, because some guests come on and say, I didn't know if I could do it. And, I had my famous Mr. Ramrock, who's here next Thursday, it's 15 years, blah, 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 blah. And he thought it was great. I mean, but you were like, nope, you know what? It's about time. But, you said something interesting. I'm going to go back to that because you said matters. And there's something that you want that has matters at the end of it. I'm going to come back to that. But, it certainly seems like these last few weeks that the DHC is unstoppable. Yes, Surge is back as an active in-ring competitor. So is Zero. But what you guys did, it seems like it just picked up right where you've left off here these last few weeks. I mean, Spade was here and pretty much just said, guys like Joe Starr, guys like Kuma, guys like Shima, they just shouldn't have showed up. And, I mean, now even other people like Zero shouldn't have shown up. And, I mean, there's no telling what you guys can all do it. And I'm just wondering, why is anyone going to get in your way? And especially the likes of Zero and Power Surge.
They can try, Tom. I mean, let's take a look back. Code as hell. Every member of the DHC won their match. Tyson Spade beat Gabe Sayers. Reyes Silver retained the hardcore title. BN Sane retained the undisputed championship, and I beat that. I won't say it. I beat Joe Starr to become your NEW Northeast champion. So it's just going to be repeat. So you saw what happened at Code as Hell. Insanity Calamity 10 is not going to be any different. Every member of the DHC is going to go in there, beat up their opponent, walk out with a W. And then for my circumstance, not only will I be walking out still your Northeast champion, but I will be walking out another champion at that. But let's just talk about that real quick.
Sure.
Since August, Power Surge had the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship, right?
Yeah, correct.
When did he ever defend it?
I would have to get back onto you and look at my scorecard because I think I know the answer.
It's really messed up, Tom. Insanity Calamity 10 will be my first title defense. I just won this a couple weeks ago. It'll be my first title defense, Tom.
Yeah.
And Power Surge has been champion for practically going on, what?
9 months.
6 months, 7 months, 8 months, who knows?
9 months.
He has not defended that championship once. And his first time is going to be in a winner-takes-all death match. I mean, what kind of crap is this, Tom? All Wrestling Matters? When does it matter? Apparently not 9 months.
I mean, you know what? I'm not going there because Soldier GP, your cohort or counterpart in another state in the IMF, has said it's Our Wrestling Matters. There's other people who said it. I am not going down that road. But I will say you make an interesting point because Surge has been champion for about 9 months. He wins the All Wrestling Matters hardcore title, and certainly it was an amazing event you guys put on. It was a hell of a great list of shows you had last summer, especially the Riot in the Ring and the All Wrestling Matters tournament. No question, those things were really cool. But maybe you could say, as a counter to that, if you look at Surge and you look at the size of it, maybe nobody wanted to challenge because they knew the outcome. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, objectively speaking, no good.
I think that's a lazy excuse, Tom. Power Surge had the chance to defend that championship time in and time out, but instead he just let's just talk about this. He puts his career on the line, loses, and then he's welcomed back. Like, what kind of laziness is it? He just decides when he can come back after losing. A loser retires from in-ring competition. That makes zero sense.
Well, in wrestling, listen, let's be honest. Objectively speaking, in wrestling, retirement is such a loose term. I mean, how many times is Flair retired? How many times is Mick Foley retired? I mean, Shawn Michaels, retired and came back for the one match. I mean, listen, that's certainly a road I'm not going to go down. But you make an interesting point about Surge coming back, and we're going to talk about the show because he had this secret meeting with the board of directors, and Joe Starr was a part of that. I mean, I could certainly see the facial expressions on you, and especially B Insane, who, by the way, was impressive in his own right. What did he beat? Like a quarter of the TF crew roster on the last episode of Vortex? But what did you make of that, though? That objectively speaking, Surge has a secret meeting with the board of directors, reinstates himself, and one Joe Starr okays that. What is your opinion on some of that?
Well, you see, Power Surge probably begged, he pleaded to come back to NEW to face somebody that is actually worth something here, myself. So he probably said, "Oh, Joe, can I come back? What if I give you the NEW Undisputed Championship match at Insanity Calamity?" Probably something along those lines. Because
nepotism, which I know is going to be my next question.
Joe Starr, nothing to prove he is worthy of facing B Insane. He didn't even get a rematch against this. Like, he just goes on to get an undisputed title match. If he gets an undisputed title match, where's my undisputed?
But this sounds like a thing I've heard in DBW, a thing I've heard in IMF, I've heard everywhere in the underground. There's certain people that get certain shots. I mean, Sean Jovi was getting title shots against this guy and that guy. And, Silas Walker's talked about it before he became the general manager. I mean, it's one of those things. But Joe Starr, I don't even know if he should show up next week after what you guys did to him and after what we saw after your segment with Surge and Zero. I mean, this guy, I don't even know what condition he'd even be, let alone for Vortex this Saturday, which we're going to plug in a minute. But even for Insanity Calamity, I just don't know who in their right mind would even say to Joe Starr, show up these next few weeks after what you guys did to him, especially once again last Saturday.
The only thing that I've seen him do is just drink. He hasn't done nothing but drink.
Well, he didn't have a doobie. There wasn't a doobie, at least. I don't know.
It probably wasn't recorded because I think maybe NEW does have some sort of, policy. But Joe Starr has done nothing but just drink his life away. And it's exactly what Tyson Spade said. It's exactly what I said. Once he gets that Northeast Championship taken away from him, he is going to be nothing. And look at him. He lost one match, and he's sitting in the ring drinking.
I was going to ask you, well, it's funny you said that. I'm going to put the footage up here in a minute, but I was going to ask you because, you've been in this a long time. You've been doing this about 15 years. You've traveled. You've had a lot of success. You've had certainly your ups and downs. You've seen NEW grow into what it is today. Now you're in places like TF Crew. We're going to talk about UWF later on, but is it just that simple? You lose a title and you go right down? Because I'm just confused because, like you said, it's only one match. I know you've got your opinion. I know Spade's here in the chat. I know some others are here, and they've got their opinions about Joe, but I do have a soft spot for him because he's kind of, to me, reminds me of a Sean Jovi. He reminds me of a Dark Kron in terms of the guys that come on here, and I just have a soft spot for them. But is it simple that he loses that match to you and, that's it? What are your thoughts?
I think he's nothing but a pathetic, sore loser. And on top of that, he's an alcoholic. He can't control himself, Tom. He's drinking in the wrestling ring. Like,
Well,
when do you ever hear of that? It's insane.
the only time we were talking about this, the only time I can really remember this was there was a segment years ago on Nitro with Scott Hall, and he was drunk, and they had a storyline with it, and I think it might have been either Hawk or Road Warrior Animal when they were the Legion of Doom had a segment similar to that, but not as famous as the Scott Hall one. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys should offer AAA or Betty Ford, or if those people do those things for the one Joe Star. I mean, I don't know. I mean, should we have Alcohol Anonymous clinic help? I don't know. What do they do those
If you
things
want to
still?
offer that, Tom, I know you have the big bucks. Go ahead and get Joe Star.
Yeah, well,
Go get Joe Star some help, because
I might
right
have to
now,
get Joe some help, because if you're telling me he needs help, and I mean, that might be the thing, because I don't know what to say, because it's just one match. I mean, even Kuma and Shima. I mean, Shima spoke. Think about this. Shima spoke. He was basically trying to snap Joe out of this. I mean, when was the last time you saw Shima speak the way he did, if ever, on any WTV?
listen, he loses one match. He makes his profile picture on Instagram a black background. He goes ahead and just types one or two words in his stories nowadays.
Yeah, I
mean,
saw it this afternoon.
an
Yeah, I saw you
attention
got it.
seeker. He needs the attention. He is a sad, pathetic loser. Without this championship, he is nothing. He needs to go ahead and leave NEW. Leave NEW to the men. To the men, because he's nothing but just a poor excuse of a wrestler. He's a little boy in our world, and he doesn't belong here in NEW.
Well, that does sound like that was the old song. Was it Aqua Girl, Barbie Girl? But we're not going to certainly do that. We're not going to go there. It was Aqua World Barbie Girl, I think. I'm sure somebody, I see Big Man Cam, who's here in the chat, probably knows that song. But I'll leave him for a different show at a different time. But I mean, it just seems to me like what Sane did, Be Insane did to TF crew members, what you guys did to Joe Star, what Spade did to Zero. I mean, Surge, I know, runs this company, but I don't even know if I'm him. What am I getting myself back into as an active in-ring competitor? Because these are the guys that are supposed to fight against you and the rest of DHC, Be Insane, Reyes Silver, and Tyson Spade, who was here last week. And it seems to me like Surge is stepping into something that this might be too big for his boots, even his boots.
You know what it is, Tom? I have a theory. He wasn't getting enough attention. He wasn't getting enough wins on the indie scene. He wasn't the big bad guy anymore. So he had to come back to his old stomping grounds, put himself in a Northeast Championship match, something that he didn't even earn himself. And he has to face someone like me to make him feel relevant again. And that's what it is, Tom. He needs to be relevant. The only time he will ever be relevant is when he is here in NEW. But his time has come and gone. His time is past. I am NEW. I run NEW, whether Surge owns it or not. DHC runs NEW, and there's nothing that Power Surge, Zero, D Savage, Lyra Limber.
Well, I'm gonna get to Lyra Limber. I mean, Lyra
can
Limber, I'm gonna
stop
get
us.
to later. I'm gonna get to Lyra Limber later, and D Savage is fun. It's funny you brought D Savage up, because I will actually bring him up later on, because he will be a topic which you may or may not realize why, but we'll get into that later on, because D Savage actually he'll be coming here soon, real soon, to Sportswire. But it seems like Tyson Spade, Reyes Silver, and Be Insane are on a whole nother level. Is it just as simple as you guys together form this strong, cohesive unit? And what? I mean, is it just that simple of what you guys have been doing together? I mean, just talk to me about your thoughts on some of that.
There's always strength in numbers, Tom. And I mean, we bring out the best of each other. We're all champions. Tyson Spade is going to be a champion sooner or later, whether anybody likes it or not. He will
beat Gabe Sayers. Look what we did to Gabe Sayers. I mean, what a methodical performance he had. We were speaking a lot about that. I mean, I think that was one of the most impressive performances in Tyson's year. I mean, he's had a heck of a year. I mean, there's no question about it.
I mean, look at him. Ever since he stopped caring about the fans and what they think of him and start catering to the fans, He is more focused than ever. He is winning matches. He's back to winning matches. He defeated the Alpha at the season 6 finale. He defeated the Heartstopper at Code Hell and at Insanity Calamity. He's just going to keep on winning. He's going to win. He's going to win. He's going to win. Just like all of DHC. It's going to be a great season to be a member of the DHC.
Let me ask you this question. I'll get to the chat in a little while. I see some people here. I will definitely say hello to you, and we'll get to a number of different things. But I want to talk about the undisputed champion, Mr. B Insane, a man that it's you and him when we think about NEW. You guys are basically, in terms of being there from the very beginning. And how satisfying is it for you to finally be reunited with him and seeing what he's done and unleashing this potential that we really haven't seen from him maybe ever in his career? How satisfying is that to finally see what Be Insane is doing from your perspective and being right there with him?
It is great, Tom. I mean, for years and years and years, probably for the past 3 or 4 seasons, like I said, with Tyson Spade, he's just been catering to the fans. He's been doing things the right way when he should be caring about himself, when he should be caring about a family. He had nobody in the NEW roster. He was going to tag team partner looking for that family. You see, he was tag team partners with Joestar, tag team partners with D Savage, you name it. He's been looking for a family, and he didn't have to look any further than his old pal Jake Dvorak. And now that he is undisputed champion, he is going to show the world what he can do. He's no longer going to just be another guy on the roster. He's not just going to be another guy on the TF Crew roster. He's just not going to be another guy on the WTW roster, the UWF roster. Be Insane is going to be a main eventer that he deserves. He is right now in the main event, and he's finally getting that taste of what he's been deserving. And I couldn't be more happier for my friend.
And I think NEW is a company right now that is a main event company. And I think that the success of the company, especially for a guy like him to be on top of where the company is, I think that he's certainly getting a chance to show a wide audience of the potential here. But we see Surge and Zero have entered the ring. And obviously, this is a topic which I want to now transition to. I want to use the hockey line change about you and Surge now in a death match. Now, you talked about earlier about the fact that this is his first defense of the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship, but it sounds like to me, again, we can see you because you're one step ahead and putting now this match for him, you're putting your title on the line, but it's almost like you've got home field advantage here in a death match. I mean, talk to me about what we can expect next Saturday, Insanity Calamity, winner takes all.
You can expect the bloodiest match that we've ever seen in NEW, and that's a guarantee. That's a promise, Tom. And Power Surge, things that he can hang in the ring with Jake Dvorak. Yes, he's been in death matches with me, but he has not been in a death match with Jake Dvorak. He defeated Jake Matthews. He's done this and done that. He won death matches in the past, but he has not stepped foot in the ring with Jake Dvorak in this setting that I am far more used to. I've done death matches practically wherever I've been within the last couple years. And yeah, I may not win all the time, but I make sure that I bring a fight and I take my opponent through hell. But this time I have home field advantage because NEW is no longer his home. He comes back to get that cheap pop from the crowd.
Oh, we've talked about this here in previous episodes, that he basically kind of left the company. He wanted to go to greener pastures. You've been here. You've always been loyal to NEW, and he's looked to explore other ventures, other places, and that's obviously a different direction of what you've done. You've always, even if you've gone to other places, we've always looked at Jake Dvorak. We've always looked at Be Insane. We've always looked at Rhea Silver and Tyson Spade as true NEW wrestlers through and through. And where Surge, well, he's certainly looked for somewhere that's greener on the other side.
You know what? And that's exactly it. Power Surge, when the going gets tough, He leaves, and now he finally makes his way back here, puts himself in a title match, and thinks he can beat me. He thinks he can beat me in my own game, and that is not going to happen. It is going to be a sad comeback story for Power Surge because he's right here 5.5 hours just to get beat by Jake Dvorak. And finally, there will be somebody who is willing to defend the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship. Not just, you know what? Here's the thing that bothers me the most, Tom. Not only did he win it and never defend it, but he retired from in-ring competition. Why is he still holding the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship title to begin with?
I wouldn't know how to answer that question because that's something that I guess you'd have to ask Surge, but he is putting the title up. And I mean, obviously 9 months of being inactive as champion, that's going to come to an end next Saturday. So at the end of the day, I mean, that's certainly a discussion I'll have for a different time, but we are here with Jake Dvorak, the unholy Jake Dvorak, who's about to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame once again. We'll get to that. We're also watching a little bit of last week's Vortex. They have another Vortex here coming up, the go-home version of Vortex before Insanity Calamity next Saturday. Their shows are on 12 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to put the YouTube link up. We're going to get everybody here in the chat going on here. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And we are here with the man who is the brand new NEW Northeast champion. You know, Jake, I want to go back to the death match itself because you make an interesting point where I'm actually going to agree with you on for a minute because it's funny because there's a guy, Godric Sandwell, that's come on here. A guy kind of like Power Surge is, traveled different places and kind of some of the same circuit and areas that they've both wrestled geographically. And he's also had to go up there and wrestle in a death match against a guy, La El Shaddai, a very well-known figure. And it was a very difficult transition for him. And I think there is a point to be made when guys like Power Surge wrestle in matches in an environment like yours. Sure, Surge has got the size, he's got the strength. I say it all the time. There is nobody in the underground, maybe even in WWE. Many WWE guys cannot stand toe-to-toe with the size and the strength that Power Surge has. But in a match like this is your environment. And I think it is very difficult. And I say it all the time here on this platform. You have been here a lot over the last year and change. And I think in an environment like this, it's going to be very difficult for Surge because of the fact this is your environment. He doesn't wrestle in this a lot in places like 814 when he goes up to upstate New York with Savage and wrestle. This is an environment you could have all the strength, all the size, not 1% of body fat, but it doesn't matter because this is a match. It's foreign to him.
Exactly. It doesn't even matter the experience. It doesn't matter what he's been doing. But I can tell you this. Since he's been on the indies, it's not like he's been winning titles. I've been traveling. I've been winning championships. I've been doing exactly what I said I was going to do, Tom. Power Surge is just coming back just for that cheap pop to try to take something that I just won away from me. And, it's not like he could be bothered to show up to the season 7 premiere. Where was he? Where was he the show after that? Where was he at Cold as Hell? Exactly.
Maybe it was too cold for him. Maybe he didn't, I don't know. Maybe he didn't bring a coat.
A big, tough guy, afraid to step foot in the NEW ring at the season 7 premiere. Cold as Hell. You're talking about the first big event of the season 7. And
got a lot of views. Yep, we had a big chat for it. Yes, I was there watching it. Absolutely. No, I agree. He should have been there, but he wasn't. And he's showing up, though, at Insanity Calamity. He is showing up for that.
Oh, good for him. You know what? I'll make sure that I put this down real quick, and I'll give him a round of applause.
Well, I mean, something tells me you won't be clapping that much, but you'll be doing, I'm sure, a lot of stuff in that match. And again, you wrestled Gabe in this environment. You were in TF Crew. We talked about that. You and Jeff Nova against Mikey Anarchy and Gabe Sayers. We're going to talk about you and UWF. That's coming up in a few weeks. And I just think, again, before we make the transition, I think it's very difficult for guys, because again, I get guys from all over that come on here. I get indie guys, I get pros on. The Gary Wolf was here. I think it's a difficult transition for a guy that's not used to wrestling in a death match. I mean, and I think that you this is your environment. This is your home field. It would be different to me if you were wrestling somebody like a Kato. It would be different to me if you were wrestling a Mikey Anarchy here in this environment, or anybody like Ox McCoy, or somebody that it's in regularly that environment. And I think with all due respect to Surge, this is just not his environment. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a match we're all excited to see regardless. And I'm sure that you're excited to win the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship. And I ask you, what would that mean to you to, win that championship?
It's going to mean the world, Tom. I mean, there's literally only two things left that I want to do in NEW before I close this chapter in my life for good and move on to other things. One of those things that I want to accomplish, Tom, is winning that All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship, because that is a title that's supposed to represent the entire community. This title should be defended every single chance possible, and yet it just sat on the sideline. It collected dust for about the past 9 months or so, and that is not the reason why I purchased that championship, why I brought it into the community, why I got many people from all over the country to fight here at NEW to win it, to become the first All Wrestling Matters Hardcore champion. And the first champion just does nothing with it. That's a slap not only to my face, but that's a slap to the whole entire community's face. And the community deserves better than a person like Power Surge as their champion.
The only thing I could say, again, I know people are going to say, boy, you're really stretching it here, is that look at Surge, look at the size of him, and maybe nobody wanted to take it on and take him on. I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I could say in defense of Surge, is that if you look at him, would you really want to go take him on for that champ? I mean, it's, again, I hear you. I definitely hear it loud and clear. I know people are going to be like, well, you're Mr. Collaboration, but I would say, look at the size of, listen, Stefan Havoc's here in the chat. I mean, listen, there's a lot of people here that I agree with you could have maybe had a shot at it, but at the end of the day, nobody did. You're going to rectify a problem. And we'll certainly see. We're excited about NEW's shows here coming up. If you are here and you haven't hit the sub button for NEW, I don't know what you're waiting for. So please go out and support it. And I would actually remind Jake, I still subscribe to the Patreon page, by the way. I still subscribe to the Patreon. So I still give the $5 a month. I try to be generous. I mean, I give Copper Dragon the $5 a month. He hasn't put up any matches yet. I still give it to him, that's just how it goes. But let's get to some people here in the chat. I think people want to talk. I want to get to a couple of, I want to talk about something you're doing that I'm really excited about outside of NEW. Plus, I want to give you something. So Zilla is here. Zilla is definitely excited. Zilla was asking me about you earlier today, and now your wish is our command. I bought you time. I've been commenting on the PWF page, and I said hello. Tyson Spade, who was very excited about. I really enjoyed Tyson on here on Sportswire last Thursday. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your DHC counterparts on here coming up in the next few weeks. And he calls you the people's champion. And Joe Starr isn't really the man of the people at the moment. I'm going to plead the fifth on this, but I will tell you that this man, Doc Holliday, I'm going to plead the fifth on anything, but I will tell you that eventually he's going to come on to Sportswire. I spoke with Mr. Holliday. Obviously, he was extremely successful last year in the Riot in the Ring and, winning that, and just a man that, I'm going to say, I may have saw a picture a few days ago, but I'm going to say nothing on it. I'm going to pretend like it never existed, but he did want to say hello. I mean, anything you want to say to Mr. Holliday?
Doc Holliday, it's a matter of time until we both step foot in that ring and you can no longer duck me. And finally, I will beat Doc Holliday and show the world that Doc Holliday is just a washed up has-been.
Well, I'm going to just say this. If you win the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship next Saturday, now, obviously, Power Surge is still the other part, but I think it'd be really interesting if it ever happened, the Riot in the Ring winner against the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Champion. I think that would be a really interesting match, I think, just because of just the significance of those two things. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know of what Doc Holliday's future is, but I think that myself and I think a lot of wrestling fans or fans here at this platform that come on here each and every night and tune in, I think we would love to see that match. If it could happen where you have the old Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship and Mr. Holiday, a legend from the GBYWN days, is the Riot in the Ring winner. I think it'd be great.
I agree. So Doc Holiday, let's give the fans what they want. Let's go up there and steal the show.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but I'd like to see it. I definitely think that Doc Holiday is a man that I'm going to be talking about quite a bit on Monday, because Monday at 8:30, a man that you have shared a locker room with is coming here, Mr. Rad Dad Radley Belmont, and a man that you, I'm sure, talk to quite a bit. You don't probably agree with on a lot of things, but he's also a member of the TF. Well, obviously you are on different sides of the coin, kind of, but he wrestled Angel Santiago, and
This way, Tom, TF Crew pays my check, gives me the checks that I need to live comfortably. So you know what? I guess we are on the same side after all.
All right. Well, I mean, Mr. Rad Dad is going to be, I'm going to bring you up. I'm going to talk about the situation there in TF Crew. Hopefully we see some more TF Crew shows in the future. Now that Gabe is a college graduate, I mean, let's go here. He's a college graduate already. It's time now to get some more shows. I'm going to be talking a lot about Rad Dad. I'm going to be talking a lot about that match he had with Angel Santiago. I'm going to be talking about the fact that he ended Jimmy Controversy's career in GTS. I mean, boy, a lot to talk about there with Rad Dad. Who knows? I'm definitely going to bring you up. I mean, they're going to definitely be a big topic. And I think a lot of people are going to tune in for Rad Dad, including Mr. Doc Holiday. So there you go. Yes, Mr. Holiday. And Doc has become a regular. And I vow to get Doc on the Sportswire. It sounds like it will happen. I mean, I think people are waiting for it. How are we tonight, Halloween King? Okay, we'll go forward. I think it was for Doc Holiday because I was confused. I don't know, Halloweenish. Well, Halloween's not quite yet. We've got 5 months. Speaking of people that I didn't know they were alive, Big Man Cam. Last I checked, Jason, your counterpart in another faction, another company, ROEW, Jason Storm. I mean, ran him out of town, but apparently we can see him. We can see him. I don't know why he says he can't see your eyes. I can see your eyes through your glasses. I don't know what he's referring to.
I don't know what he's referring to. He might be actually bouncing on the trampoline a little too hard because I know how dangerous they are nowadays.
I don't know if could Big Man Cam fit on a trampoline. I mean,
there's only one
to find out. Well, I mean, Sean Jovi famously said he couldn't fit on the trampoline. So Big Man Cam, who shared a locker room with Sean Jovi, I don't know if he could, but maybe he'll let us know. You can't see what he sees. Yeah. I listen. Big Man Cam's an interesting fellow. Hello to Abram Storm. How you doing? Yep. Thank you very much, Abram. Thank you for tuning in. DHC will remain unbeaten. Well, I'll tell you what, so far, I'm going to put the cards up here that we're going to talk about in another minute or two. We can definitely, I'm sure, talk about that. Joe, okay, I do remember Dare. Yeah, that was, I forget what the acronym was for that, but I do remember that. Yeah, that was a thing. I think I was in high school. That was a topic, but they were educating you on those things. But yeah, Joe definitely needs a few things, and I'm sure we'll hopefully figure it out. Maybe I will have to use my bank account to help him. Jake Dvorak makes NEW stand for not even wrestling. Don't worry, Jake. Take the glasses off and I'll love you again. That's rather harsh. That's not nice. I mean,
well, Big Man can't run his mouth all day and all night long, but what has he been doing
I have to tell you, I have been asking that question for 7 months. I've asked it when Jason's been here. I've asked it when Alex Cross, Cash Carter have been here.
Once he comes back to wrestling, I'll come here without my sunglasses on. How about that, Big Man Cam?
Well, hopefully
he's waiting to join a different podcast. I think that's where he belongs. He belongs on a different podcast in some sort of den. I don't know.
Well, listen.
I just heard it somewhere. I don't know where, but
you know what? Maybe that's where he enjoys being on. There's no question that nobody was tuned in when he was on there. But what can I say? Listen, it's America. What's left of it? If you want to join other places and watch, and go ahead. God bless you. How you doing, Stephen Havoc? A man I know for a very long time. Would like to say what's up. How you doing, Mr. Havoc? I'll eventually return to the platform. Yep, thank you very much. Abram Storm stands with DHC. There you go. Everyone should see what was it was a rap song. I'm trying to think of the rap song. Was it? I'm trying to think. Maybe it was I'm trying to think. Maybe it was Heavy D. Heavy D had a song about it. Was something about he bet that was the you can't see what I can see. That was the lyrics. It was an old song. I mean, Doc Holliday might know what I'm talking about. Maybe he might be the only one that would get that reference. I think the rest of the chat was like probably not born or wouldn't know it. But yeah, give this up to NEW. Yeah, even you're looking at me like, what's the matter with you? I want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Ace Reed. How you doing there, Ace? Hope you're doing well. I know you went through a couple things. Good to see everybody here. How you doing there, Brent? He's giving you exclamation points. How everybody doing? Rhea Silver is in the house. Jake is a god. You know, I was talking to Rhea actually not too long ago, and I think one of these days Rhea Silver is going to come on Sportswire. What's your thoughts on that?
I think she should have joined here a long time ago, but I will be waiting and I'll be watching to see her finally come on to Sportswire Radio. I mean, we saw a little glimpse of Rhea Silver here before, but this time will be a little different. And I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. You know, we had a great conversation, and I look forward to that as well. This is Mr. Holliday's response. He knows I'll fight anybody, any style, anywhere. Say it in my presence. That's some strong words there, sir.
Well, Doc Holliday, you can get picked up by Gabe Sayers one of these days. Take a little trip down there at NEW, and I'll look you right down at you and say it right to your eyes. How about that?
So I guess maybe Doc likes to ride shotgun while Gabe is driving, huh?
He might even like to ride Gabe Sayers. Who knows?
You know what? I'm going to leave that at that. I'm going to certainly say whatever happens between them in the car rides, as long as they get to the NEW arena safely, that's all that counts. And I guess you won't be Joe Starr. I got the reference there. But, you know, I mean, Joe's supposed to be here next Saturday if he's alive. I mean, it's his birthday. He's declared coming on here. I mean, I don't know if he's going to live between now and next Saturday. I mean, do you think he'll survive between now and the next week? I mean, he has declared that he wants to be here on his birthday. What is your opinion on that?
Well, if DHC doesn't get to him first, I'm pretty sure the alcoholism is going to knock him down.
Well, you know what? That's actually a reason why I've never once had a drink. I don't drink, but I drink too much Mountain Dew and other stuff. I think Spades mentioned it here in the chat before. And orange TV shape. Well, yeah, you do have an orange TV shape. I got the reference. But I think before I want to take a slight detour from my news, I want to talk about a match that I'm really excited about you're going to have outside of NAW. But before I do that, it is finally time to give you this because you definitely earned it and you definitely deserve being into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame once again, another time. This is time number 3 for winning that NEW Northeast Championship. I will give you the physical copy when we're off the air. Congratulations, sir. Looking forward to inducting you many more times in the Hall of Fame, and you'll catch up to some others. One guy who's not wrestling anymore, Justin Parsley, he's got a concussion, so he ain't going to matter. And another guy that says he's controversial, but we're going to leave that at that. But it's your moment here, sir, tonight, and congratulations, and I'll give you the physical copy when we're off the air.
I appreciate it, Tom, and, you know, it feels great. 3 times. Myself into the Hall of Fame, and then if you want to count NEW as a company, it'll be number 4. So 4 times here in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and I am grateful. I'm more grateful and more appreciative than guys like Joe Starr. You know, Joe Starr would probably be here drinking his alcohol.
Joe. He's been very quiet tonight. You know, have you noticed? You know what? You make an interesting point because I've noticed the last couple of shows we've had NEW coverage here. We had Spade last week. We have you here now, and nothing from Joe. Joe's always active. I mean, Torrance Banks was here previous episodes. Joe came onto the stream. I've just noticed the last couple of shows we've had NEW coverage. Nothing from Joe. Just very silent. Radio silence from Joe Starr.
Exactly. I mean, he's finally come to terms that he is nothing without this championship on his shoulder. And, you know, whether he likes it or not, I didn't need this championship on my shoulder to be relevant. But, you know, how they say the title, you know, the person makes the title.
Yeah.
No, the title made him. He didn't make the title. The title made him. I mean, look at what he's doing. he's on a downward spiral, just going further and further and further. And you know what's disgust me even more? That he thinks he can defeat Be Insane and Reyes Silver by teaming up with a rookie, a person that has only wrestled 2 or 3 other matches, Lyra Limber, a person that has barely had any training, a person that is going to come to realize that she will never be as good as anyone in the DHC.
You know, that's interesting. I was going to go transition to your match coming up against Tank, but I want to stay with NEW for him because you talked about Lyra Limber. Now, I've said this before. Lyra Limber's come on a segment with Joe Starr before. Lyra Limber's been here on Sportswire Radio before, but I know Lyra Limber more from the promo wrestling world. I know Lyra Limber from TPW and some other places, but Lyra Limber now has been making the transition into wrestling. Lyra Limber has been here in NEW now this season, and I mean, I think it's going to be very difficult for Lyra Limber to go toe-to-toe with the likes of your members. And I know certainly there's a victory out there, but I am sure Lyra Limber, you and the rest of DHC most certainly want to make a big example out of.
That's exactly it. She's going to be used as an example. I mean, you see people coming in left and right into NEW, people that we haven't seen before or people that we haven't seen since 9 months ago. I mean, Castor came back. We had the debut of MJ Sayre, and now Lyra Limber, a promo wrestler, a person that has never wrestled before a day in her life,
does hold a forfeit victory
to come here to NEW, and they don't have what it takes. They do not.
Well, you would feel good that Lyra Limber has a promo forfeit victory over Anthony Steele. I mean, that's, a big win. I'm sure you were happy about that. But Joe Starr and Lyra Limber as a team, that was something that was talked about here. But considering the state that Joe Starr is in, I mean, I think this could be a disaster here. What's your thoughts?
I agree, Tom. I mean, Joe Starr can't even make a coherent promo when he's sober, let alone under the influence. I mean, he can't even win a match when he's sober. He can't defend his championship against me successfully when he's sober. Yeah. So what makes him think that he can step in the ring with 2 members of the DHC with a rookie as his tag partner and win? There is
especially as we're here with Jake Dvorak, the unholy Jake Dvorak, the NEW Northeast champion, especially looking at what Rhea has done, right? Rhea is going to talk about that sometime next month, and that'll be an interesting conversation. But look at Be Insane, right? He took on 3 members of the TF crew. Look at what Be Insane did to Shima. Look at what Be Insane has done since Be Insane has won the Undisputed Championship. I mean, I don't even know why anybody would want to step foot in the ring with him. And if there's something left of Joe Starr, he's got a championship match with him next Saturday. I mean, this Be Insane. I talked about it earlier with you. What a run he's on.
This is the ironic thing about this match that's coming up at Insanity Calamity. It's a last man standing match. Joe has been getting so drunk he couldn't even stand in the ring. He was sitting down. What in the world makes him think that he can win the Undisputed Championship? It doesn't make sense, Tom. Make it make sense.
I know that's my job, but I don't know. Listen, I had Colton Lee on a couple days ago, and he asked me a question. Well, what would you do? He said, what would you do about their champion there and one of their champions in their companies? And I was like trying to play the part. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's going to certainly be something we're going to be tuned into. I mean, listen, Lyra Limber is definitely an up-and-comer. We'll have to see what Lyra Limber does here in the rest of the season. But I think it's about Joe Starr. I think the story right now is about Joe Starr and just the condition, the state of Joe Starr. And we saw, again, what Kuma and Shima tried to do. He eventually left the ring. And, just really, you did make a point that I think is very valid in the underground North Circuit. Just a really bizarre situation. And I'm sure if Joe Starr is alive after his match with Be Insane, he's here and it's his birthday. I mean, boy, this could be the worst birthday show ever on Sportswire. Boy, I mean, I don't even know if Joe Starr if he's alive to be here, but I'll get back to some of that in a little while. I want to talk to you about something else that you're a part of outside of NEW. And I'm really excited about it because it's something you and I spoke about, I think a few weeks ago. We spoke about it a couple times off the air. And I really want to get your perspective because I love seeing guys from NEW. I love seeing guys from other places get opportunities elsewhere so more people can see all the great things you guys and gals are doing. And you've got a match here coming up in actually 3 weeks. Well, 2 weeks from now, actually. It's going to come up here at the next UWF show. And you're wrestling Tank. And this is a match you've been wanting a long time. I'm excited to talk about it. It's coming up here in a few weeks. And for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, talk to me about what we can expect here 3 weeks from now against Tank at the next UWF show.
For those who don't know, UWF is one of the most violent, the most sickest places that you can ever wrestle a part of. The amount of blood, the amount of weapons, the amount of violence, every goddamn match is just insane. So what can you expect when you see Jake Dvorak, one of the violent, sickest wrestlers on the East Coast, go up against another violent and sick person on the East Coast? You can expect blood. You can expect violence. You can expect everything. You can expect barbed wire. You can expect literally anything that you can think of. Both of us know what we have to do to go in and take the opponent down. And it's going to be very interesting because unlike most of the people in the underground community, I actually have respect for Tank. I know what he puts his body through because I do the same thing here in NEW. And I'm not even going to consider this a dream match. This is more than likely going to be just a one and only match, or something that will only take place at UWF, because I just don't see another match like this taking place between us. There was talks about him coming here before me going there, but we are meeting somewhat in the middle, we'll say, at UWF. I've had one match there. I believe he also had one match there.
You were there last year. Yeah, you were there last year.
Lose. I am undefeated at UWF, and I believe Tank lost his match last time. I could be mistaken, but regardless if he won, regardless if he lost, he's going to lose on June 13th. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I belong in UWF. That place, the amount of violence is just calling me. This is where I belong. You know, in NEW, yeah, I have Gabe Sayers. Yeah, I have people that does hardcore matches here and there. But I don't get enough violence here in NEW. So UWF is my home away from home. And Tank, he's just going to be another person on the list of people that I have defeated.
But I think in a lot of ways, it's almost kind of like what we saw at Rage in the Cage, Ox, McCoy, and Cato. I know Cato we've seen, obviously, in the All Wrestling Matters tournament, but it's one of those matches where it's two guys that are peers of each other. They never cross paths. They get the opportunity, and it's one of those matches. I know you say it's not a dream match, but it is a match still that a lot of people would like to say, you know what? Who would be the better man in a match? Jake Dvorak and Tank. Guys that have been at it a while. Guys that are peers of each other. And I think it was very much kind of the same deal with Ox, McCoy, and Cato. You know, Ox McCoy is not the kind of guy that gives respect to his in-ring competitors. Cato was obviously a guy, you know Cato very well. You had him here. And I think it's kind of similar here, where I think you and Tank, I think there's a lot that we're going to see to be excited about, a lot of similarities, but it is a match that I think a lot of people would like to say, you know what, who is the better man? Who is here in the Northeast? Again, it is kind of, to me, like our version in the Northeast of what we saw with McCoy and Cato.
You know, everyone has their opinions, Tom. And yes, you know, it's going to be a unique match. This is somebody that I've had my eyes on within the last year or so. It's something that I can check off my list of things that I've done in this year, along with winning this championship. So I can go to UWF and prove that Jake Dvorak can hang with the best they got. And by defeating Tank, I can prove that I can hang with anybody in WTW.
Do you feel like that with a match like this that this will maybe lead to more places or opportunities for you, whether it's in the Northeast or maybe within UWF? Do you feel like that there's a match that this is a prove me to others out there, or do you feel like that you win here, you're going to go and get opportunities across the board? What's your thoughts on something like that?
I think I already proved myself in UWF last year. I went there, went one-on-one against Be Insane,
Yep.
and they even labeled it as the chair shot.
I remember. Yeah, there was a reel you guys did. It went like viral last summer. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, it was very memorable what you guys did to each other. No question.
Yeah, so I think I already proved myself. What I'm going to do now is just remind everybody at UWF, the roster, the crowd, everybody watching at home, that Jake Dvorak is not done in UWF.
You know, I wanted to ask you this question, and I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I get a lot of these different names that have been in the hardcore circuit that come in. The Deathmatch Juggalo, Brian White, obviously a peer of Kato's. There's La El Shaddai, I talk about a lot from legit alternative wrestling. There's Mickey Knuckles. I'm sure you definitely know Mickey Knuckles and some of the POR crowd. Is that something you'd like to maybe test your skills eventually against, like different names? I know Mikey you've been in there with before, but when you look at some of your peers out there in the hardcore circuit, do you maybe look at them and say, you know what, I'd like to maybe test my skills up against those different names? Some of them have been here, some of them just been talked about. What's your thoughts on something like that?
There's plenty of people that I would love to step in the ring, whether it's an actual ring or at a no-ring event, whatever it is. I would love to get the chance to wrestle different individuals a part of the deathmatch world. I mean, people like Obey, people like Jimmy Controversy, people like Mikey Anarchy, one-on-one. Yeah, we wrestled tag team, but getting to go one-on-one against these type of people, Ox McCoy, Kato, there's just 5 people out of probably,
I know. There's I know there's like a lot of them that are in the circuit. Yeah.
Ring with, but realistically, those 5, I believe I can get in the ring with one of these days. So, yeah, there's plenty of people I'd love to go in the ring with, but those 5 are definitely high on my list.
And I think those are some really good names. Jimmy's been here a bunch of times. Obviously, Jimmy's no longer in GTS. That's obviously, you've seen him in UWF. That makes sense. Anarchy, you've obviously tested your skills up in a tag match. And Kato just wrestled McCoy. And I think that those are really important names. Obey, listen, he's been a part of TF Crew as well. And he's also been a part of IW. I know he lives down south now. I think those are really good names. Controversy we saw last year in the All Wrestling Matters tournament. And I think that would really be names that I would agree with. I'd like to see you test your skill, because I do feel like that as a deathmatch hardcore wrestler, you want to maybe test your skills against some of those names. Like I said, some of them have been on here. Some of that, another guy is Jesse Daniels. Another guy, a lot of people talk about him. He wrestled Mickey Knuckles. There's just a lot of different people in the scene that I think would be very interesting that you maybe would want to wrestle and haven't crossed paths yet. And I'm excited about that. Let me get to a few comments before I ask you about stuff, because I do have another announcement for you. But also, I can drink every day for the next 5 months and still not reach the amount Joe has drank. Wow. I didn't realize it was that much. Maybe if they cheat again, they could pretend they can beat us. In reality, Lyra Limber can't beat us. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like a handicap match. If you think about it, considering Joe's state, objectively speaking, it's a handicap match. Yes, congratulations.
Wait, I mean, Lyra is like 4 feet tall. Yeah,
you can say that. I can't say that here with my microphone, because I'm Mr. All Wrestling Matters. You guys, you could talk about the trampoline, you can talk about being short, you can talk about, I can't do that. I gotta be down the. I understand where you're coming from, but Lyra's a competitor, and Lyra's gonna fight, and that's the only thing that Lyra knows.
Size of Be Insane's leg. All he has to do is just lift his leg up and kick her. I mean, it's a handicap match either way. There's somebody that's 4 feet tall, and her tag team partner is a drunk, pathetic, sore loser. I mean, it's a win-win for DHC. Let's face it.
Well, I mean, we're going to find out. And Limber is actually signed here, question marks. Well, You might be signing, seal, and delivering I'm yours to the post office back if what happens is true here. Let me get to some others. Brandon says, drink water, be straight edge because we're better than alcoholics. Well, I mean, I should drink more water, admittedly. I drink too much soda. But hey, who's saying whatever? But I do enjoy it. What can I say? Straight edge for life. That could be a good way to look at things. Listen, I mean, the band Kiss. I mean, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley famously was straight edge. CM Punk. So, I mean, there's people out there. Although I don't know if I'd want to live the life outside of what Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley had. It's a long story. I'll get into that a different time. But thank you, Brent, for that. We appreciate that. Big Man Cam, I think he left. I think he went back into hibernation, Zilla. I think he left the chat. He went back into hibernation because he's not going to be in the ring anytime soon. Trust me on that. I can certainly vouch for that. UWF will see what Jake sees. Yeah, well, they're going to find out on June 13th in 3 weeks from now. It's definitely going to be an interesting thing. And UWF will be awoken by Jake Dvorak. And hopefully we'll see some more of NEW people in UWF. I mean, Be Insane, I think, would be one, and I think that would be an interesting one. I guess we'll see what else. But I did want to bring up Mr. D Savage is returning here next Monday. Not this coming Monday because Rad's here, but he's here the following Monday. Same time, same bat channel you were on. He makes his return for the first time since, well, the beginning of the year. He was the first guest of 2025, and now he returns. And he's going to probably have a few things to say. How much about NEW? I mean, I don't know, but I could ask him if you like.
Like promoting our shows when he was a part of us, so something tells me he's not even going to mention us. So,
well, I don't know about that. He's going to talk about Battlefield Pro Wrestling, and I'll be sure not to bring up the Boston Celtics to him because his Boston Celtics lost. But I'll leave the Boston Celtics talk to a different show at a different time. But obviously he'll be back here, so I'm sure that people will tune in and maybe hear what he has to say about NEW. I'll ask you about. Would you like me to ask him about NEW? Would you?
I want to hear his thoughts on trampolines versus wrestling.
If I do that, I might get thrown off the other. I'm sure he'll have an opinion.
That's my question, Tom. I need you to ask the hard-hitting questions. He needs to answer what is more dangerous, a professional wrestling ring or a professional wrestling trampoline.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he'll have an opinion. I'll
be here. I'll be watching. I promise.
I appreciate that you'll be tuned in. I definitely appreciate that. I don't know if I'm going to ask that question, but we'll see. I mean, listen, I'm sure there's a lot of things on his mind.
How about that? I'll throw it in the chat, and you're just going to have to read it off. So
that is my style. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Listen, there was one wrestler Tuesday that had his opinion on that. That was in your chair, Mr. Omen Black, and he did have his opinion on that. He certainly did on his platform, by the way. But Trampogate, yeah, that's funny. They had Watergate, there's Trampogate. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. What can I say? Savage is opposed with NEW and still half our roster. Yeah, Savage will pretend he doesn't, but he cares about NEW. Well, I mean, you know what? Maybe I'll ask him. I don't know. But obviously, we'll have to see what happens. But I want to ask you a couple things here before I go off the other. I know you're busy, man. You got a lot of stuff here going on, but what would your final words here, first of all, be for Power Surge before next Saturday and Sunday? I know you have a confrontation with him, but here on this platform, what would your final words be to Power Surge before next Saturday?
I think it's very cute that you think he's actually watching this, Tom. But if Power Surge does watch this, if he does get a hold of this clip, I would say, mail me the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship. Stay in Pennsylvania. Stay safe. You do not want to get your promoter upset when you show up a little bloodier than you would ever show up. I mean, what are they going to think? You're going in a backyard and wrestling against a deathmatch wrestler? I mean, that's going to ruin all your bookings, Power Surge. So stay in Pennsylvania, Power Surge. Do yourself a favor. Do me a favor. And do everybody watching a favor. Mail me the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship. Stay in Pennsylvania. Wrestle there. Stay safe. You know, we know that it's a lot different than what you're used to over here. You're not able to book yourself to win. However, stay over there. Keep losing at 814. Keep going to Michigan. Keep going to Ohio. Keep going to Indiana. Keep losing, Power Surge, because I'm going to stay here in the underground world. I am going to go to TF Crew. I am going to UWF. I am going wherever I want to, and I am going to win, and I'm going to continue to win, and I'm going to sit back and just hear about all the times you keep losing. But if you wanted to actually show up here at Insanity Calamity 10, you don't have to worry about putting your career on the line against me, because regardless if you do or you don't, it will be your last match here at NEW. And I'm just going to finish the job. I am going to end the career of Power Surge. And that way, maybe within the next year, once you finally have enough balls and maybe enough money and enough traveling expenses, you can come back up here and I can defeat you at Star Clash. It could be It could be Star Clash 9. It could be Star Clash 10. It could be a Star Clash reunion 10 years from now. Dvorak is going to beat you, Power Surge. Doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where. Hell, maybe I'll go get Pro Chain. Maybe I'll go down to Battlefield and defeat these Savage while I'm at there. You know, how about that? Jake Dvorak versus Power Surge 814, and Power Surge loses. I think that would be great.
Well, I'll tell you this much, because I do get some of the companies on from Pennsylvania, whether it's about Battlefield. Savage is technically Battlefield, but Amplified, Enterprise. I get Express Wrestling that comes on here. So there's no question that the Pennsylvania independent wrestling circuit is one I'm very familiar with. It's a very interesting one. But I'm going to leave who wins and who loses to other people. I'll let them determine those things. And I'm excited about the match. I'm excited about the rest of the show. But I want to ask you two more questions outside of NEW before I get to closing thoughts. You know, when Omen was here, he brought up Summer Bash again. Summer Bash 3, he talked about it. And we were talking, and we said, NEW obviously is one of those companies that's kind of like the counterpart of IMF and certainly the counterpart of ROEW, TF Crew, a company you're a part of. And what is your thoughts on something like that? I think Omen, who's talking kind of more like less of Omen, if that makes sense, at the end of the show on Tuesday, he talked about other wrestlers being a part of it, being welcomed. What's your thoughts on Summer Bash this year? And is that something that you think that NEW wrestlers would want to be a part of, or something if it worked? Obviously, scheduling and travel is always, it's always a difficult thing. But what's your thoughts on something like that?
I would be interested. It all depends on how much they want to pay me to go over there, wrestle there, because I need money to go traveling to places. That's just the thing nowadays.
Sure.
But,
what?
Let's just cut the character real quick. I would love to go down there. I would love to beat any one of those wrestlers in a one-on-one, a triple threat match, a fatal four-way match. I would love to go down there and smack around anybody that Omen wants to book me against. Whether it's Ox McCoy, whether it's somebody that's completely not on my level like Kyle Shelby, whether it's
I don't know if Kyle Shelby's officially on the Summer Bash card. I mean, you might want to wrestle him, but I mean, that's a question I'm sure.
I think the roles are reversed. I think he wants to wrestle me, Tom. I mean, you see the people that he wrestles. He wrestles against Drew. And Drew. Yeah.
I don't.
Nobodies. If I was to step in the ring with him, he would realize how much more he needs to improve. I am not a Drew. I am not a random backyarder. I am not a promo wrestler, promo talker, promo whatever you want to call them. Yeah. I am a deathmatch wrestler. I am an underground wrestler, and I am one of the best of them here today. So
I agree with you on both those things, but I agree with you on both.
In the ring with somebody like me. So I would want it to be against people like Ox McCoy, maybe even Kato. I mean, it's better.
Now let's get to fairer competition, sir. You and Ox McCoy, you and Kato, those matches, should it be where it works out that Summer Bash could be a place where you could wrestle, that would make a lot of sense to me. Listen, I like Kyle, but I don't know if that's what we should see at Summer Bash. I think that Ox McCoy and you and Kato would be interesting. That would be almost kind of like you and Tank. That would be a match that I would certainly like to see. So I'm going to let the promoters book who they'd like. But if it worked out, I would love to see guys like you show up there, guys like Be Insane, guys like Tyson Spade. I mean, there's a lot of different people in AEW. Leonidas, obviously. I'd love to see Leonidas out there, another fantastic talent. Reyes Silver. I mean, there's just a lot of great people. I don't know what's going to be left of Joe Star, Kuma, Shima. I mean, there's a lot of people in NEW that I would definitely throw in there as people that I think us and fans would love to see and get those opportunities. But again, I just thought it'd be curious to see what you thought about Summer Bash this year. And
I think that, what I can imagine it, instead of it just being Summer Bash 3, right? It could be the House of Wolves and DHC show. I mean, me and I have so much in common. We both have our own family. And what would happen if we just ran Summer Bash 3?
I guess then we should just say that's all, folks. Like the end of Looney Tunes. That's it. Nobody should just. That's it. You guys, and they grew with numbers. You grew with numbers. They have Felix Jones. Jason Storm has aligned himself with them. You have now Tyson Spade. I mean, to me, yeah. I mean, maybe that'll just be Summer Bash. We'll just rename Summer Bash to the DHC and Wolves. I mean, that's it. Let's just go with that. Maybe that'll just be. I'm sure the promoters will. I'm sure the promoters will definitely be. Maybe they'll like that. Maybe that'll draw more views, more subs. Maybe that's the way to go about it,
Let's face it, Reyes Silver is the draw. So, I mean, if you have her on the show, it's going to bring in viewers. So then you add Jake Dvorak, Be Insane, Omen Black, Felix Jones, Jason Storm. I mean, so much people with one thing.
And there's one name you didn't leave out. You left out. That was a part of the House of Wolves still. You know who that is? And one name you left out.
He's there. He's there too.
Yeah, that name, it's Anthony, first name, last name Steele. Yeah, he's in their group. Apparently.
But you see, friends can fight, right? And Anthony loves to run his mouth, so I guess maybe we can finally get that match. Finally have the dream match.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do before I ask you one more question. I know Anthony's going to be back on here like really soon. And I'll make sure.
Is he waiting right now? Is he?
No, not tonight. Tonight I actually have to go because I'm supposed to. I'm on standby to speak to Vito Fratelli, who just wrestled Chris Masters. But something tells me he's going to forget. But we'll see. I do have a bunch of basketball players. So this is not one of those nights I can do like 3 hours on Sportswire. But he will definitely be back on here like in a matter of, it could be this weekend. So I'm sure I'm going to ask him that question. So we'll leave that at that. Yeah, Summer Bash, love to see NEW, love to see more people out there. I'm sure the promoters, they'll talk about that. I want to ask you one more question before closing doors. So TF Crew, will you maybe have more? What's going to go happen here now? We know what happened with you and Nova and everything else there. So what is the future for you and TF Crew? I mean, what's your thoughts about what's going to happen here whenever TF Crew restarts?
Your guess is as good as mine, Tom. It doesn't matter. I'm there to prove myself. I'm there to go up against the best that they have to offer, whether it's a guy like Angel, whether it's a guy like Rad Dad, whether it's a guy like Gabe Sayers, whether it's Mikey Anarchy, whether it's Christopher Black, whether it's Caster, Leonidas. Doesn't matter who it is. I'm looking to make a statement and I'm looking to wrestle the best. And that's exactly what I hope Gabe Sayers understands. I'm not there to be the opener. I'm not there to be the second match on the card. I'm there to work my way up to the main event and I'm there to wrestle the best. So if there is anybody there listening from TF Crew management, give me your best.
Well, I would like to see TF Crew resume. I know we've got these unhinged episodes out there. I know that that's a thing still, but I think I'd like to see another TF Crew show. And I'm going to definitely talk a lot of TF Crew with Rad Dad. He and I spoke a few days ago, and I'm very excited to have him on here. And as a matter of fact, I actually spoke to Gabe the other day, and I asked him, I'm going to be mentioning you here and also with Rad Dad. And Gabe said to me privately, well, I don't show up in the chat, but I listen to these shows. So if you're listening, I would like to see TF Crew. And by the way, I donate tickets to the TF Crew show. So I mean, I would like to think that we should, especially as a fan. I would like to see more. I like to see more of everybody. I think Christopher Black's a good name you mentioned. Castro, we just saw last week on Vortex. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm gonna definitely talk a lot of TF Crew Monday night, 8:30 with Rad Dad. Rad will have, I'm sure, plenty to say about that. And who knows? Maybe one day Doc Holliday will show up here on Sportswire. But that's the name. Yeah, I'm gonna just say. We'll leave it at that about Doc Holliday. But okay, I know you're a busy man. I want to pass the baton to you. I want to put your Instagram up here. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, my friend? The floor is yours.
Subscribe to TF Crew. Subscribe to UWF. Subscribe to NEW. I'm assuming if you're watching this already, you already subscribed to us. But if you're not, go ahead, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and tune in for this Saturday's episode of Vortex. And then 1 week after that, we have Insanity Calamity 10, the 10th annual Insanity Calamity, the most extreme show of the year. You will see about 6 or so action-packed matches, and I'm very excited to finally make Power Surge defend the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship. It's just been great here, Tom, tonight. Thank you for inducting me once again.
Really, yeah, I really enjoyed tonight. I gotta say, the last, I think since Tyson came on, a lot of these shows I really had a really good flow. Yesterday, I had Maxwell Reeves and Tsunami, which was memorable. I had Omen on Tuesday on his show. I had Timothy Titan, who announced he's gonna have KJ Orso, aka Fuego del Sol, against Dave Jameson, a really up and comer in the independent circuit in Pennsylvania. I had. Again, a lot of great shows. We had Maverick on last week. We had Tyson Spade. I mean, we've had some really interesting shows of late, and I really appreciate it. Colton Lee of DBW. I mean, our friends in DBW have been great. I mean, so there's a lot of great shows. I'm excited, but I have Michael McMoney tomorrow of LAW and the WVWF. I'm excited about that. And he was trained by Necro Butcher, a man that a lot of us here in the hardcore and deathmatch scene love. And he always talks to me about Necro on and off the air. So I'm excited about that. Very excited about NEW. Very excited about the future of TF Crew, UWF. I'm talking a lot about it. And Doc wanted to put the Halloween logo there. I'm going to remember that. Thank you, Doc, for that. And, I'll definitely remember that and that trick or treat. But I always like to joke with people, Jake, that every day is Halloween for me. Look at my face, look at my hair and my mutton chops. It's Halloween's every day.
Hey, look at my hair, Tom.
Yeah, I know. Well, actually, somebody stopped me in the street the other day, but that was a funny comment. It was funny. It was a good one. But I'll leave that at that. Enough about that. Thank you, everybody. My friend, congratulations on all the success. Congratulations on all the stuff outside of NEW. I'm very excited about you and Tank. I'm very excited about a future of TF Crew. Very excited about Vortex here coming up. Very excited about Insanity Calamity. And what's left of Joe Starr, I think, will be here on his birthday next Saturday, and D Savage returns here. That's going to be an interesting conversation because I'm curious what he has to say about the wrestling world, and we'll definitely talk with you soon, and congratulations. All right, well, that was the unholy Jake Dvorak, who's pretty much said it all, and he is a part of DHC, the most dominant faction out there, certainly in the underground circuit, and right up there with the likes of the House of Wolves and Natural Selection, and DHC has definitely got it going on, and he is the Northeast champion. He very well could have the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship in his arsenal, and a winner-takes-all death match coming up here next Saturday. He'll have a confrontation one more time with the Juggernaut Power Surge this coming Saturday, 12 o'clock Eastern Time on the NEW YouTube page. You'll also see him, like I said, 3 weeks from tomorrow. He'll be wrestling Tank in Philadelphia. Kind of interesting shows coming up in Philadelphia. My mom is seeing Metallica tomorrow in Philadelphia, and yet Jake is following it up 3 weeks from now. So interesting stuff there ahead, but thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for all of your support. I appreciate it. I'll be here tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time with the one and only Michael McMoney of Legit Alternative Wrestling and the West Virginia Wrestling Federation. And until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one, Global Radio, the Sportswire Radio, where all music and wrestling matters. Thank you.